Hey everyone, Flo from OFTWOLANDS here, and today we're going to talk about the new DJI FOCUS PRO. For the past 10 days or so, I've been using and testing the new FOCUS PRO kit. So in this video, I want to talk about my experience with it, what I like or don't like about it, and whether or not I would recommend it. And I was also lucky enough to get my hands on a new Ronin RS4 Pro, so we'll talk about it as well. Before I start, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this one, and let's get into it. Now, full disclaimer, DJI sent these products for me to keep, but they are not paying me, and these are my own opinions. And also, I apologize for my voice, I've been having a cold for the past few days. DJI is a brand that I've used for years now, so I was very excited when they approached me to collaborate on these. I have used and still use their drones for my licensing, travel and documentary work, and I've used their gimbals on various shoots, including the cycling documentary. Now, bear in mind that I've only used these products for about 10 days, but I did try to recreate as many scenarios that I would find myself using these products in. And I even got my friend Clement to come and help me out, since he has loads of experience with DJI products, being a drone pilot. And he was also the car technician on a cycling documentary where we used the DJI setup. Feel free to check out his work and link it in the description below. Also, do keep in mind that these products were sent to me as demo or pre-releases, so they are early versions, so they might differ slightly in terms of performance from the final versions. And also, just to mention, I didn't really have an actual proper brochure or manual to check all of the settings. So there are a few reasons that made me want to say yes to this collab. First of all, DJI is a brand that I love and trust, so I was very happy to work with them. But the most important part was to see how this FOCUS PRO kit could benefit the type of work that I do and the current gear that I have. As a solo and freelance filmmaker that shoots a lot of documentary, outdoor content and run and gun content, I'm always looking for gear that can help me shoot faster and better. And the other reason, as you can imagine, because I shoot with Blackmagic cameras and I use a lot of cinema lenses, anamorphic lenses and vintage glass, the ability to add autofocus to my kit is huge for me. Not to mention to have an overall better and more versatile focusing system. I was actually looking to get a wireless follow focus for a while now, so this was a perfect opportunity. Now let's get into the actual kit. So with the FOCUS PRO kit, you've got two different combos. You've got the DJI Creator combo, which includes the focus grip, the Lidar and the focus motor. And you have another one called the All-in-One, which features also the hand unit and is the one that I have. First, let's have a look at the focus grip. This is similar to the Ronin gimbal handle in terms of the shape and the size of it, but it works independently and can be attached directly to the camera. And you can also adjust the angle of the handle. This allows you first to use manual focus with a wheel at the front, but you can actually switch seamlessly from manual to autofocus using the button at the back. And you can also press record using the hand grip when you link your camera via Bluetooth. And to me, an added feature is to use this as an additional point of contact when shooting handheld. And finally, connects directly to the Lidar and the focus motors by USB-C. Next is the Lidar. This focusing system features 20-meter subject focusing with more than 76,000 ranging points. It has a built-in camera with enhanced AI recognition algorithms, and it sits on top of your camera via the cold shoe, and it features its own buttons and controls. Then we have the FOCUS PRO motors. So these are new motors attached directly on the rod system, and they're quite powerful with a lot of torque and are also very responsive. They feature an approximately 30% increase in speed compared to the previous versions. And when used with the RS4 Pro, it supports focus control through the front dial and zoom control through the joystick simultaneously. And lastly, the hand unit or the wheel. This one allows you or a focus puller to pull focus remotely from up to 160 meters. You get a real tactile feedback that you can adjust in terms of stiffness. It also supports one-button linking with the FOCUS PRO motor, and as with the FOCUS PRO grip, you can also press record.
Action!
This is the first time actually that DJI introduces a LiDAR focusing system as an independent product, with very intuitive screen operations and a 2.5-hour battery life. And altogether, they form what DJI calls AMF, providing an intelligent and free focus pulling experience. And these products are also compatible with the DJI Pro ecosystem, and you can also control and adjust them using the app on your phone. Every time I make reviews or test products, I wanted to do it in a genuine way. I don't want to do this just in a studio, I want to go outside, I want to really test the products, I don't want to rush doing things, and I want to do it in a way that basically mimics what I do for work in real life. I use the Focus Pro outdoors, handheld, the same way that I would shoot a hiking or walking scene. We used it to film a person drawing to recreate a documentary scene as a team of 2. We also filmed a cycling scene, which I have done a few times and wanted to compare with. And we also filmed a few car shots. And we even shot in both daylight and darker environments. Some of these were done using the new Ronin RS4 Pro and also used an easy rig a couple of times. I really picked these scenes to recreate scenarios for a solo operator like myself or as a small production team or team of 2. In terms of cameras, I use both the BMPCC6K Pro and the latest 6K full frame. And when it comes to lenses, I use cinema lenses, the Suri Jupiters, vintage glass with my contact Zeiss, and anamorphic glass with the Greyjoy or Blazer 50mm 1.8x anamorphic lens. And I also made sure to use wide lenses like the 18mm contacts, as well as tight lenses like the Suri 75mm. And by the way, as always, all the gear will be listed in the description below. Now let's talk about the things that I like about the DJI FOCUS Pro. First of all, it is very well made. Each piece feels very solid and nicely built, especially the grip and the hand unit. Pulling focus using the wheel was also very comfortable and natural. And switching from manual to autofocus was super quick both on the wheel and grip. And even recording directly from the FOCUS Pro instead of the camera was very reliable. I personally love the look and the feel of the hand unit, especially with the lights, and also really appreciate the MPF battery system. When it comes to the grip, it's super easy to attach and detach, and all the screens across the products are also easy to use and quite sharp and clear. And the next thing, which is very important for me, is that this is great to use with cinema and vintage glass. Being able to get autofocus with my contact Zeiss lenses and other cinema lenses is just amazing. This system would have made shooting my cycling documentary a lot easier, especially for the riding scenes. And even in manual mode, I was able to get really smooth shots and great control with all the lenses that I used. Next is that it's stable and comfortable. Another aspect for me that was very important is that this makes everything more comfortable or more stable because it adds another point of contact. This was both the case filming handheld and with the Easy Rig. And even with a heavy cine lens on a 6K, it was still very comfortable to use, standing or even walking. Having that grip on the side and being able to pull focus with the wheel or change to autofocus in an instant, being able to press record, or just having that other point of contact will be something that I would find very hard to give up from now on. And it also doesn't take that much room and fit it in my Temba bag. Honestly, I can really see myself using this instead of my traditional full focus. Next is that it's great for solo operators. I found this kit to be extremely handy for solo operation, especially when you combine it with a Ronin. It adds another level of flexibility and versatility. Impressive in low light, so for the sake of this video and the review, we purposely filmed in super dark environments to see how the Lidar would perform, and it was extremely impressive.
Still has you.
One of the scenes was actually shot in near total darkness, as you can see from this clip from my iPhone, and it was still able to track.
Yeah, it's still tracking.
Great autofocus. I found this autofocus system to be quite responsive and natural, which is extremely important for me. And on top of that, it recognizes faces and cars very easily and quickly. And since Clement had his FX6 with him, we decided to test it against the FOCUS Pro, and the FOCUS Pro did very well considering how reliable the AF system from Sony is. In some cases, like extreme low light, Lidar was actually better. Another thing that I like is the app. From your phone you can actually control and adjust a lot of the settings. And I also like the fact that some of the lenses are already pre-entered to fast-track the calibration and the setup process, such as my Suri lenses or the anamorphic Blazer. Battery life. So battery life is actually another good point because we shot pretty much all day for a few days and rarely had to charge the gear. And last but not least, this system is actually useful. Both Clement and I quickly realized the potential of using something like the FOCUS Pro. So when using AF, we could focus on composition and the overall scene, For example, this can take a 3-man crew down to a 2-man crew for a car shoot, and using the hand unit with a team of 2 made it super efficient.
So the scene we've just shot here at the table with the artist, we've used the new Focus Pro hand unit in combination with a director's monitor that I've been using. And this has been absolutely critical because it's allowed us to work way more effortlessly. So I've focused on directing the talent and pulling focus, and this has freed up Florent to just be 100% on the framing of the shots.
And adding the DJI transmission would take this even further too. As with all my reviews and videos, I want to make sure that I mention the things that I'm not a big fan of or things that I could see improved. For this one though, like I said before, just remember that I'm using demo and pre-releases versions. The main thing for me is that all of the system can be slightly overwhelming. There are quite a few items and combinations possible, and it takes a while to get used to it, and you can easily miss a step. Next is a calibration process. It can either be very simple or a bit tricky. So some lenses that the contact Zeiss was super easy to set up, and autofocus was very reliable. But the surreal lenses happen to be off sometimes, even though they existed in the app and could be easily fine-tuned. And also not having a sensor mark on a 6K body didn't help. The other thing I want to talk about is the Lidar. I'm not a huge fan with how it sits. As you can see here, basically this little arm here is not adjustable. So the framing that you see, the live feed that you see on this screen and on the Ronin, for example, is not the same framing that you would see on the back of the camera, so that can make it a bit confusing and not frustrating, but you kind of get used to it that this is not the same image that you get on both the camera and the live feed. So I think the best thing would be to have an adjustable arm, something that you can tilt down, or have a mounting option at the top so you can put the LiDAR underneath the lens and be as close as the lens to get the same framing as you could. Another issue that we encountered was that we were not able to properly calibrate lenses that did not have a hard stop. So Cine lenses or my Zeiss one, they have a clear close focus and infinity setting, but with lenses like my Canon 24-105 or Sigma 18-35, like traditional photo lenses, we were not able to calibrate that because it keeps spinning. And even though we tried to put markers like A and B within the app or within the system, it didn't help. So I'm sure that this is something that will be fixed, or maybe it's something that I missed. You could still use the manual focusing by putting like gearing around your lens, but I'm talking purely about the calibration process and having hard stops. Another thing that I want to mention, and it's not really related to the actual product, is that it's more limitation. You can't really use that with a matte box. As you can see, again, because of this, the way you mounted the LiDAR on top, it would be blocked by the flag. So you can use a matte box, but just remember that you might not be able to use a top flag because it would basically block the view of the camera. And finally, the motors. So these motors are extremely powerful, more powerful than previous versions, and you can adjust them in the settings, like for example on the Ronin, on your phone, I think, which I haven't done yet, but I find that they are straight out of the box, that are extremely strong, which is good because while focusing sometimes with Cine lenses, I used to worry that you would not get enough torque to spin the lens. These are so powerful that it actually took off one of my vintage glass, the contacts. And this is also due because I was using adapters. So when you use actual native mount, no worries, but a couple of times the lens actually just popped off because there was too much force that was applied on the lens and the adapter could not handle it. Again, just keep in mind that these adapters are they're not cheap, but they're not the best as well. They're not like secure, extremely secure adapters like my Sigma, for example, that I use on the L mount. Now I want to quickly mention the gimbal, the RS4 Pro, because DJI were kind enough to send it to me so I could make this video. As you probably know, and I've said this many times on the channel before, but I'm not the kind of filmmakers that use gimbals a lot, but I do use them especially for documentary work. To me, gimbals are an essential part of a kit for a filmmaker or solo operator, and similar to a drone or an easy rig, it's something that you might not use every day, but you will require to have or you will need at some point. I found this RS4 Pro to be extremely reliable and strong, even with the heavy setup that we use with the 6K Pro and the Suri cinema lenses. The other gimbal that I have, for example the Giant Crane 2S, which is a bit older of course, used to vibrate quite a bit when I was mounting the 6K Pro and the zoom lens, but this RS4 Pro, even with the 6K Pro and the LiDAR and the cage and the cinema lens that's nearly a kilo, didn't have any issues at all. And I also love that you can quickly turn it on and off with the full rig still attached to it, and this saves a lot of time. The unit itself is also quite well built and super light because I think it's made of carbon, so this is awesome, especially for like carrying or traveling around. So Clement and I used his RS4 Pro in a cycling documentary, and he had it during the shoot as well here, and we both found that the RS4 Pro had a lot more power. I also love that my newest cage for the 6K full frame has an Arca Swiss type plate at the bottom, which means I could actually mount the camera directly onto the Ronin without having to use the extension small plate to raise it. That was great because, as we know, the Blackmagic cameras are not the easiest to use on a gimbal, but with this I could just like slide it in and it just fit perfectly. And I think it really makes me more confident and more keen to use a gimbal with the Blackmagic cameras. Essentially, the RS4 Pro is a better version than the previous ones, obviously you hope so, with stronger motors and all the usual like features and modes. As you know, I love the handheld sort of like organic look, but sometimes you need to actually get a smoother and steadier shot. And the RS4 Pro really made a difference in both stabilization and overall comfort. And when you add the autofocus system from the Focus Pro, it makes for a very powerful combo, especially for solo creators. Yes, I would 100% recommend the DJI FOCUS Pro. I think for anyone as a solo creator or from small to medium size video production, I think this would be a very valuable tool to have. And also for anyone using cinema cameras with manual lenses, this actually bridges the gap between full manual kits and full autofocus ones. So I think with a system like this now, not having autofocus in cameras like the Blackmagic cameras is not as much of an issue. I'm not saying that I'm going to rely on autofocus all the time, but knowing that this is now an option and done in a way that's actually usable is huge. And I really like the fact that this can be used by itself, like this with just a grip, or with the Ronin as well, which adds another level of stability and versatility. And filming scenes like following someone or car or cycling shot are much more easier to achieve. That's it for me for today, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing. Thanks to DJI as well for sending this to me, and also feel free to check out their website for more info. And also let me know if you've got any more questions in the comments below. I did my best to kind of like summarize and recap our whole experience using these products, but let me know if you've got something else that you would like to know. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Also, feel free to check out my 2 ebooks, Freelance Documentary Filmmaking and Travel Cinematography, where you can find a streamlined but comprehensive overview from pre-production all the way to marketing, built on years of my own experience shooting short documentaries and travel videos around the world. And if you are interested, I'm also doing filmmaking mentoring sessions when you can ask me anything about a wide variety of topics.